Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Yusuf, and I'm here with my co-host Adam.
Hey guys, hit that subscribe button because we have Xavi's first game coming up, which we're going to cover today against Espanyol. And I hope we kick those hounds from Cornea out of here like PK joked about a few years ago.
I'm totally excited for this game. Xavi's first attempt at coaching us. And, you know, he has a pretty good record as a player at FC Barcelona against Espanyol. I think he has about 26 wins out of 35 matches with them. And that is his best record.
But
I think that...
Okay. We're taking Xavi on one of the best teams of all time and his record against the team,
That's true.
Espanyol. So I think we have to pause a little bit and see what's going to happen here because there are just so many different, currents coming around this game and then Xavi's tenure as a whole. And it's going to be very interesting for us to go through and kind of talk about, what can Xavi do for these first few games, right? Because like you were mentioning before, we have a lot of injuries. We have Aguero out, Fati out, Dembele out, Braithwaite out. We have Luuk De Jong, but, I think we all don't want to see Luuk De Jong play. And so, there is what is Xavi going to play against Espanyol and what is his long-term vision going to be? And, I think the first place that kind of comes to a head is that at Barca, right, we play a 4-3-3 more often than not. That is kind of in the club's DNA, as they say. And at Al Sadd, Xavi played a 3-4-3 and a 4-2-3-1 a lot. So it will be interesting to see where he goes there because there was, infamously an issue between Laporta and Koeman in the summer where Laporta allegedly, according to the media, which take that for what you will, Laporta wanted Koeman to play a 4-3-3 more. And so it should be curious to see what Xavi ends up doing. And then the other level of this that I think is interesting is like this whole idea of Xavi having a meritocracy, right? We saw a bunch of reports that Umtiti did really well. PK is Xavi's, of course, longtime partner and won countless trophies with him. But PK has also been getting some criticism from us in particular over the last few months because he's had a slow start, which he always does, but this start seems even slower. And then there's, Eric Garcia, who's a La Masia talent, former La Masia captain, who Xavi might favor because he is, again, Mr. La Masia, right? And then there is... Lenglet. And so, just in the center back position, you already see kind of what Xavi's going to come up against. Then there's Mingueza, who always did good in a back three last season when Koeman was doing that 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. So what do you think about all these different currents Xavi's going to face, into this first game and then throughout the rest of the season?
Well, okay. So in terms of how he's going to do some type of formation along with the players that are injured, right? As he said previously, the players are going to be able to play based on a meritocracy. So we've already seen some reports coming out that MTT has impressed him and has been working hard. And so I think obviously he's going to stick to that somewhat. But he also, again, still has a lot of injuries on the books. And then, we don't have an attacking front. That was a main point that we started this video with. So it's going to be hard to deploy a 3-4-3. It's going to be hard to deploy a 4-3-3 just because we don't really have that front three to create that width, create that space like Dembele, Fati, and Depay would. So I think, it might go more towards a 4-2-3-1 in this case. And the reason I also say that is because some of the, from what Xavi has said, is he wants to dominate the ball, dominate the possession, I should say. And so I think a 4-2-3-1 might assist in doing that against a team like Espanyol because in this kind of case, we may have more control in the midfield, having that 2 and 3 kind of layered next to each other. So in that case, coming into this game, based on everything I just had said there, I do think that a possible lineup here, though, could be, Mats in the back, Dest, Araujo, PK, Alba. I think Araujo just because he's more physical and he can definitely take on the brute force coming from Espanyol because they always play kind of dirty. And then in front of them, Busi and FDJ to control. Pedri, Gavi, Coutinho right in front of them. Coutinho to add a little width because Depay's kind of up there by himself. And again, I'm going to say Depay in the front there. So, with all that, it is kind of hard to really predict exactly what's going to happen
and,
in this case.
What's so interesting is we talk about all these injuries, right? Like you just mentioned in your lineup, we finally have Pedri back. And I think one of the big things that, there was a great article on Barca Football Substack about Pedri and Gavi. And, Gavi, it's almost mind-boggling what we have, which is just a plethora of young midfielders who we believe can be extremely good for the team, right?
For
and
sure.
so, in the summer at the Euros, Pedri was the golden boy, right? He was the man everyone was talking about. Then you move forward 3 months, and now Gavi is playing for the Spanish national team, and everyone's shouting him out. And so it should be very interesting to see how we're able to deploy Pedri and Gavi together. And then, I think the interesting thing for me as well is to see what can Xavi do about Frenkie De Jong. And, your lineup, and we talked about this before, obviously, and we had a very similar lineup. That 4-2, right, that 2 pivot we have with Busquets and De Jong, I think, may be the way for us to get Frenkie into a place where he's comfortable. Because sometimes I felt, under Koeman, we just had Frenkie too far forward. And when I think of Frenkie and when I think of his last great season with Ajax and with the Dutch national team, he's a little bit farther back, and then he has the freedom to dribble the ball forward or to, progress the ball as he sees fit. He's just been in such a no man's land for the last 6 to 12 months. I'm really excited to see what
Sure.
Xavi does. And I think I agree with you that a 4-2-3-1 is probably what Xavi will go with. I do wonder if we will see Eric Garcia as the center back instead of Araujo. I'm not. I still don't necessarily have a good understanding of what Xavi's looking for or how this whole meritocracy is going to go. But I do know that Xavi definitely wants to see center backs who can distribute the ball well, and I do know that Eric Garcia is better than Araujo right now. Although, as we always discuss, Eric Garcia has some shortcomings on the defensive side.
Sure.
And so I'm excited, Yus. I really want to see what this team has. I think no matter what, it's going to take us like 4 months-ish to really evaluate players. I know there was a big splash the last week about Frenkie De Jong possibly being sold by Barca in the summer. I really don't think Xavi, especially, I don't know how real this is, but Xavi is an elite midfielder. I feel like he will love the talent that Frenkie De Jong brings and will really look to push him in specifically on this team, because for a lot of last season, besides Messi, Frenkie De Jong was the best player. And if you ask me, if you look down our team, who has the capacity to be the best player on their best day, I think it's Frenkie De Jong. And so I really want to see Xavi try the back two with Frenkie, and then also try him in a role perhaps where he moves more farther forward, because what we really have to do here, and why I'm stressing, we got to give Xavi at least 4 months to really evaluate players, is because we've had a lot of these players playing like headless chickens under Koeman for so long, right?
For sure.
On the whim of Koeman and how he felt, and then Koeman would also overplay everyone so they were too tired. I feel like we haven't had the chance to see our players under a good coach since Valverde, as crazy as that is. And if you don't want to give Valverde that credit, which I know almost none of us do, even though he won a lot of titles, we go back years and years away. And so I'm really excited to see what Xavi brings out, and I'm really just hoping everyone is patient with him.
No, I totally agree with you. Those are all very good points. And, I think the biggest thing to take away from, or at least a large thing to take away from what you said there, was that I think Xavi's going to be able to evaluate players at a better extent than Koeman did, be able to utilize them to their strengths and weaknesses, and then also, of course, give the players a chance, right? Because I think that was a criticism previously that Koeman didn't seem to give players like even Ricky Puig.
Right? Koeman didn't give Ricky Puig or Pjanic time. Both of them caught smoking hookahs in the last 48 to 72 hours here, which I'm just kidding about. But yeah, like what do you think? How will Xavi? How will you know Xavi has made an impact from this first game? What are you looking for in that first 90 minutes on Saturday to tell you something is different here? And is the question itself too severe? Does it not make sense to ask to see a change in 90 minutes?
No, I don't think that's too much of an ask. I think, as a coach, you can kind of deploy certain strategies, and then those strategies can be seen on the pitch. And I think that's what we lacked a lot under Koeman, was that we didn't seem like we had strategy, unless you're talking about cross and pray. Yeah. I don't really think we had too much going on there. And also with that, I think that Xavi may have the possibility to adjust to the game as the game happens. Make the reactive. Yeah. So, and I think those things are very possible to happen in one game. I think Xavi's been there long enough to at least relay to the players what he's looking for, what he wants them to do. I think
that's a great point, Yus. I mean, I think that is very similar to what I'm looking for, because the one thing we've been saying for this whole season, and, of course, this is a whole season without Messi. It was a little different with Lionel being able to score all the time. But I'm really looking for us to have a way to get the ball into the back of the net. because that
Sure,
was not something
definitely.
for the season that we've seen so far from Koeman. Just didn't seem like he ever had an idea for how to actually get us to score. There were those weird games where, PK was having to score a header, and of course the Bayern and Benfica games away in the Champions League where we got shut out. And even though that Benfica game in particular, like I thought we had opportunities, and this whole season you do feel like opportunities have been there. It's just our team's not trained. We're not trained for getting the ball from around the box into the back of the net. And so that'll be something I look for. And, I totally agree with you on that point.
You're totally right. And the other thing I was thinking about the opportunities that you just mentioned was that a lot of the time some of these opportunities were way outside the box there. And I think Xavi may be able to create some space to get that ball in the back of the net without having to take a low percentage shot. But we'll find that out coming this Saturday. But let's get into, Espanyol coming into this game is 11th on the table, just 2 behind us with 17 points in which we are tied.
No,
but we do have a game in hand.
They're the
here.
same points as us. We're both on 11. Right?
Oh, shoot.
Excuse me. We're both tied, I think, but they're 11th in. So we both have 17 points. They are 11th in the standings. We're 9. And we have a game
that's
in
correct.
hand. So, they're a big rival, right? Like, Espanyol was just relegated, 2 seasons ago? I think this is their first season back since then. And, it's as uncomfortable as it makes it sound. This, Catalan derby is a big deal, right? Like, we really need these points not only to show our crosstown rivals that we're better than them, but also because, there's a hunt still, right? Like, there's a good chance we are not able to beat Benfica in a week or two and that we make it out of the group stage of the Champions League, in which case top 4 is vital for us. And so it's so tough because I see the hypocrisy in just what I said, is that I have these ambitions to be top 4 when I don't know if that's a realistic thing to put on Xavi coming in mid-season with such a young team with so many injuries. And so, this is just part of kind of the self-reflection and the issues we're going to have as we try and evaluate this season.
Well, you're right. I think Xavi, in his presentation at the Camp Nou in front of over 9,000 people, he has said we can't draw or lose. So, I mean, you're totally right. But at the same time, even Xavi has these expectations saying that, like, look, it's not acceptable that we lose these games. And he was really, saying about the drawing against Celta Vigo, losing a 3-0 lead and then drawing the game and losing points, right? But that being said, what do you think is going to be the outcome of the game in the Catalan derby here?
I think we'll win 3-0. I have good confidence that the team under a new coach. Yeah, there's a certain swagger you get under a new coach when you didn't like the previous one, and I feel like there was some general, negative feelings towards Koeman as the season went on. And then, that kind of sums it up, right? Xavi's saying at Barcelona you cannot win, you cannot draw or lose. And that is really representative of the Barcelona he played under that were so good, and that's the representation of what this club should be. Like, after the losses to Bayern, Benfica, to Celta Vigo, I feel like the players kind of have their, tails between their legs, and they're very bashful. And it goes along with what Dani Alves said actually just today. He was talking about Dembele. He said, I'm going to remind Dembele that he's playing at Barca, that he has all the talent in the world to make himself a superstar. And that's kind of, Dani Alves, of course, is part of those golden era. So is Xavi. They're trying to get back to a place where the players really believe in themselves. And so I'm hoping that comes in quick, and I'm hoping the players really take it upon themselves to, right the wrongs of that 3-3 draw against Celta Vigo. And I think we come out and we score 3 and, we shut them out.
Awesome. I mean, with that, I am excited. Let's get into
what's
this
your
Catalan derby. I said, I didn't say, excuse me, 2-1. I think we're going to let up a goal here, but I think, as you were just saying, we're going to have the self-confidence coming to this game, leadership by Dani Alves and Xavi, that I think we can squeeze this one out and show them what we're made of.
Last question. Do you think Dest will play as a right wing or as a right back? I'm curious about that. If we have no one up front, maybe that Xavi will have to do it. What do you think?
I think he's going to play more of a right back, but based on the 4-2-3-1, it's kind of hard. I don't know, man.
Well, let's see, everyone. We'll talk to you guys after the game on Saturday. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit that subscribe button. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.